just as we thought would happen, the GE Tigers are actually targeting out Forgiven. They banned the Grace, are banning Lelouch, and are willing to test his champion pool. I'm not surprised if Forgiven can be just as good on the other champions, like Corki. I'm sure he can play it very well, but it's not something that we have seen SK play as a team, especially because these two are probably the best skirmish champions which fit into the SK style.
Well, Blanc Zed banned as well by SKT. Interesting that you would see SK ban that Zed against a Korean team, because we have not seen a single Zed pick yet this season.
We have in the very first game.
Oh, you're right.
Gloom
That's
picked
right.
it
Okay,
from
we've seen
Najee,
one.
but certainly Kuro is not a Zed player.
That's
so,
a very bizarre ban.
I don't really know what the intention is right there. There's the Lulu from GE, so the ban's one of the ban scenarios we thought coming into play already. Not going to first pick the Lulu. They want the Corki.
Yeah, Lysandra taken off the table by SK as well, and it looks like we may see that Rek'Sai pickup. Okay, so willing to give that Corki up possibly, but against Forgiven, that's not as much of a risk. You actually might be able to get that in the next rotation, you think?
Well, what I think now is you're not banning the Nidalee that you saw being banned by the Tigers into Cloud9, which would lead for a really strong siege composition. The Rek'Sai being, you know, it's a very versatile jungler that can serve as both a good disengage and kind of just helping anybody that goes in get CC'd, or can go with a really strong all-in composition. With the Lysandra ban, though, I'm leaning to think that perhaps the Tigers are wanting to play a Rumble composition that you can just assassinate the backline. If you take the Kaylin, if you take a Nidalee, Rumble Rek'Sai, one knockup and one equalizer, the backline is gone.
And it looks like we may see that Nidalee locked in. You know, so far, as far as the Korean scene goes, only Eve on Samsung has really rammed that. Everyone else kind of shying away from it. GE had a little bit of trouble with it here and there, still won that series 2-0, but we'll see how they can handle Svenskerens as that one's locked in.
Like you're saying, there is that power spike here, but a dangerous situation, I think. This is locking SK into getting a lot of advantages off of a fast push in the early game, because they will hit a substantial mid-game power drop right now. And Maokai and Janna, so a little bit of disengage right here. I'm a bit surprised to see the Maokai in terms of Rumble does have the equalizer wave clear, can be a little bit more defensive under his tower.
That is true, but this leads me to believe that the Victor pick is going to have to come out from the GE Tigers. You know, Victor, Maokai, just as good as the Rumble equalizer with the Rek'Sai, are going to be able to just hit the backline instantly. And with the Janna, we have seen Gorilla play, I think, 8 games of Janna, 7 or 8 games, and have been undefeated on them, just as the Corki that has been undefeated. Coupled with the Victor, this SK lineup is not going to be able to kill any relatively unsafe carries from the GE Tigers.
That Gnar pick scares me, like every Gnar pick does right now, basically. It looks like we may get that Victor from Kuroyan. Of course, the Corki, very expected final picks for the GE Tigers, and that is a very classic GE, very scary comp for SK to go up against.
Yeah, they're really not showing anything new right here, but I think this has been certainly a solid draft, and the question is, does Fox know how to play against a top-tier Victor like this? Because that has been a pick that's been firmly ensconced in the Korean meta for the most part. We've only started to see it trickle out into some of the other regions, and that's a very difficult thing to deal with.
I really don't see any way that this SK lineup is going to be able to flat-out teamfight the GE Tigers composition, and we'll really have to take a very strong lead and snowball with it, just because of the strength, not only the wave clear strength from the Tigers, but the ability to engage at any point on this really squishy backline. Annie does not provide any peel and will get popped instantly by the Victor.
I'm a little bit surprised to see the Diana pick here, because the thing is about Diana, when you go in, if Victor W's himself, that's going to be really problematic for Diana to continually lay down damage before she gets a Zhonya's Hourglass, which he's probably not even going to build first in this game, instead going for an Abyssal.
With that early E that Victor always upgrades as well too, I think it's going to be very tough for Fox to farm in lane. I really am not a big fan of this Diana pick.
I think that for SK to come out of this winning, it has to be extreme focus into the bottom lane and really get the Caitlyn snowball. And I mean taking towers and getting kills ahead, because other than that, it's looking kind of grim with this draft.
Yeah, we will see on the Rift. GE Tigers with a very, very, very strong draft. We'll see how it plays out right after this.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championships here in Katowice. I've got two new faces. Well, not really new. They're kind of old, but they're still new onto the desk for this event so far. Quick shot, and of course, Deficio from Riot. Guys, what do we think to this game? I just want to throw my stats your direction, and then I'll let you mull over the rest of it. So, GE Tigers lineup. Maokai, which they're currently 3-0 on, Rek'Sai, which they're 5-0 with, Victor, which they're 4-0 with, Corki 9-0 plus the 1 year, 10-0 I guess we could say this season for Corki, and a 6-0 or even 7-0 Janna record because they played Janna earlier as well. So overall, scary stuff from the GE Tigers.
What do I think, Joe? I think SK Gaming have selected their IEM World Championship difficulty as hard or Korean. If you're gonna beat the best, you know what? Give them their best champions, give them undefeated champions, 20-2, and let's see what they can do. For SK, this is gonna be so difficult.
Yeah, I mean, SK Gaming side here, it's gonna be so much about Forgiven, honestly. And we have said this before multiple times, but SK Gaming in this game are just looking to pressure around where Forgiven is on the map. Hope that Diana can win her mid lane and basically roam down to this Caitlyn here. You're not going to fight in the mid game because you have Caitlyn. You're too weak there. You have no proper peel either for your poke composition. So I want to see how SK Gaming can play it. They want to stay in the lanes for as long as possible for sure.
Well, the start of this one then. Certainly the GE Tigers will be hoping for at least a better first 1 minute because they got first blooded early on, which obviously kind of changed very quickly after they got 4, 5, 6 kills pretty much in a row against Cloud9. We'll see what SK have got for them. And Deficio, is your opinion here that SK have to try something out of their normal style?
No, I think they have to play exactly the same style we always see, and that's the problem, because GE Tigers will have been able to scout SK Gaming, look at the play style, and obviously say, we know the pressure is going to be around this AD carry, so as long as we are ready to defend there, or make plays on the other side of the map, you can go and kill Freddy multiple times if that's what you want, and snowball your Maokai into a massive tank. That works too. So SK Gaming, for them, I feel like they've been heavily outpicked in the pick and ban phase. This pure comfort pick, as you mentioned, for the GE Tigers. And honestly, we're just going to have to see if SK can snowball from this laning phase.
Yes, it's something that SK have had to do the entire time. It's what they were mentioning on the analyst desk as well. Crumb saying that Forgiven not only needs to take towers, but get kills as well. Luckily for SK, they do have Nidalee, who is particularly powerful in the early game, who has a lot of damage to follow up. So there are some tools available to SK, and I do quite like some of their late game scaling. Nah, Caitlyn, Diana, if they manage to make it to late, can be very scary.
That's the problem, yeah. They gotta get full late game, and then you look at the likes of a Maokai here, a massive tank, obviously. He can tank for Caitlyn multiple minutes, honestly, in a fight. He can dive on to Caitlyn and sit there, and then suddenly it's gonna be about what Freddy and maybe Enrated with his flash tippers can do to the backline of GE Tigers, but that's where you have a Janna defending Prey, who is so good in these team fights, knowing his position on this Corki here, knowing when he can go in for damage. And honestly, 2v2 lanes, I don't even think this is in favor of SK, because now suddenly you got the problems where the bottom lane is going to be free farm for Smep in his case, even though obviously, never mind what I was just saying, because we got the 9 top lane. It's just SK Gaming doing a 2v2 set up soon if Enrated goes up there. There's the lane swap. No 2v2 lanes.
Freddy down to half HP. This mid lane, by the way, Kuro's been bullying Fox this entire time, and you can see that in the CS is nicely reflected there as well. 16-6 in the early stages of this one. We also see the top laners starting a little bit differently. Doran's ring for Smeb and the shield for Freddy, which probably going to come in handy for him considering how much pressure he's already had from Prey and Gorilla on his top side. But now he does have Enrated there with him to make sure that he can stay safe. It'd help if he was dodging out on those phosphorus bombs as well.
Yeah, so basically what SK Gaming is doing, once they got a gank here on Koro in the mid lane, see what Svensson can do.
Well, we'll see. Kuro takes a lot of damage, but Fox and Sven,
good poke.
Really just going to trade. No flash, no ignite. It's presence and pressure in lane.
So what SK Gaming is doing here in the lane swap is they're taking Enrated away from Forgiven because GE Tigers are trying to freeze the top wave and they want to secure farm on Freddy. So they're putting a 2v2 lane with double ranged for themselves, which is pretty smart. Problem is, Smep is getting a massive wave in the bottom lane on his own. One-on-one, free farm, free XP. SK will never freeze the bottom lane. So once you take the support away, you lose your ability to fast push to tower in the bottom lane, and at the same time, you give free farm to the enemy top laner. So this is a bit of a risky spot now, and tricky spot for SK. How do they get out of this one, and how do they make sure they can get an early tower down? Now they're doing a one-on-one situation.
Yeah, we need to see what Enrated can do on this Annie as well. I've not been particularly impressed in his Annie engages in the EU LCS, and something we touched on in terms of playstyle, Enrated is not all that known for roaming around the map. And on a champion like Annie, who can have impact, we'll need to see if he can make something work this time around. But somebody who has been moving, Sven, he was mid, he was top there, he was bottom as well, trying to look for opportunities.
It's tricky for him though to roam away, because he's here to help Freddy farm, basically. As long as the G Tigers are freezing, if SK can manage to push their wave down to the tower and reset the whole thing in the top lane, then Freddy can roam. Oh, sorry, Andy can roam. But let's see here. Forgiven, he's in trouble.
Nice move in there. We'll get the knock up. Actually, the Whirlwind did land as well. Exhaust will be used here, and they're going to dive underneath the tower. Not looking good for Forgiven. He goes down. First blood will go over to Smeb.
No wards on the bottom side here from SK Gaming. And Forgiven was on his own and ready to go into the top lane, of course, and place his ward there. So simply no vision for SK. Nice little setup here by the GE Tigers, and this is perfect. You completely stop the early push now for Caitlyn. And if she doesn't do anything in the early game and it gets to a mid-game point against a Corki with Trinity Force, that's a massive disadvantage for SK.
I think it's really smart from GE as well, because normally it's Freddy that gives up that early kill for playing greedy and not having wards in lane. But I think GE read the fact that Enrated was working with Freddy top,
exactly,
and that's why they invested their resources. GE have shown already they understand SK and they're punishing some of their decision making.
And that's the thing. Normally it's Freddy who's on his own in these lane swaps here. They rarely go and help him. It's only if the lane has been frozen, and GE Tigers are one of the first teams to do it against SK Gaming. Yo Flash Wolves in the last game, they were pushing the wave, so Freddy got farm, at least for the first few levels, and therefore Enrated could stay with Forgiven and protect him in terms of the warding and of course push down the tower. GE Tigers have nullified that.
And it makes it kind of obvious. I mean, they've target banned Forgiven this time around.
Yeah.
It's obvious that there's going to be some focusing. If you leave him on his own like that, then yeah, of course, G Tigers are going to go for him at every single opportunity. This mid lane, by the way, continues to be a nice little lead for Kuro. Again, just landing the laser there onto Fox, who's been pretty much at half HP since the very get-go in this lane. And now Svenskeren coming around will get that Raptor buff out to clear that ward. So interesting so far. Definitely going to be, of course, Lee that's had that bigger impact from the jungle, but we'll see if Svenskeren can turn this one around. He's currently in the enemy jungle.
Yeah, I really want to keep my eyes on Gorilla as well. You know just how he's moving around the map, was involved in the first blood, was even getting some of the auto attack damage down on that mid lane tower. And now again, he's roamed back down to help Smeb clear the wave out. Gorilla's really making good use of responding to the plays that SK is putting on the map.
Yeah, Gorilla is reading SK like a book, honestly. He's going mid lane where Diana, before she gets to level 5 on her Q, can't really wave clear too much, and you will always get a few hits on the tower, so he times the wave there, get a few hits, protect Koro as well so he doesn't get ganked again by Svenskeren. Then he goes down to the bottom lane when the wave hits the tower and prevents SK from pushing down this lane. So you now have a very farmed Maokai in the lane who can protect his tower. You can even swap the Corgi back in the 2-on-2 lane once he goes back and get a phage, because there's only a pickaxe on the side of Forgiven. So GE Tigers now have multiple options in how they want to play it. And all in all, I mean, it's looking great for them here in the early game.
Are we going to see SK dive in here? We did have Svenskeren down the bottom, but he swiftly left and moved over towards the mid lane, which I'm not sure he's really going to get much there. Kuro all the way back behind that entire wave, and they don't even try for that one. However, this bottom side of the map, Gorilla, still level 4 there, but Smeb's just hit level 7 as well, so should be able to protect him. And you know, never want to be getting locked up underneath that tower. I mean, Cloud9 obviously learned that the hard way in first game today.
So we can see SK Gaming, if you look at the minimap now, they're putting all their wards on the bottom side of the map. It's around Forgiven, securing that he can basically push his lane. That also allows either Diana or Nidalee to roam from the mid lane if they push it out to the bottom lane and go for potential 4-man dive onto this Corgi Janna setup. Because there is the wards placed to spot the way, and there are obviously no wards from G Tigers at the moment. Problem is, that's such a risky play to make, and as we saw for Cloud9, if you fail it, suddenly GE Tigers are 2,000-3,000 gold ahead of you, and the game is basically over.
Wow, GE Tigers already have a 1,000 gold lead, and Freddy committing to the early game. Double Doran's Blades and Doran's Shields on that Nor, really looking to extend this laning phase as far as SK are concerned. No real pressure on towers just yet, but not something we've traditionally seen, and Svenskeren on this Nidalee He's gone for the tier very early build, so on track for an early Archangels.
I like early tier, get it stacking really fast in Italy, obviously when you pounce around and everything. One-on-one in the top lane, TP, no advantage for either team, but SK Gaming see an opportunity here because Gorilla backed in the bottom lane, they go straight for this dragon. It's a thing they like to do. They don't go in and set up 2 or 3 pink walls, invest a lot of gold onto a dragon and like really pre-plan it. No, they look for opportunities of when do you recall in your lane or someone dies in the lane and then they just quickly rush it, take it very fast. So nice little play by SK. And of course Freddy here trading really well with Smeb in this lane.
Yeah, both of them hitting about half HP there. Those double Doran's blades obviously going to be helping him out on that one. 2 rings as well for Smeb, but he's obviously going to be going towards that Rod of Ages here as quickly as possible. If you look down the AD carries, we've got Pickaxe, BF, Sword out for Forgiven. Other side, of course, it will be the Trinity Force coming out for Prey. Up till now, though, only got the workings of that Phage, plus the Sheen that he had a little bit earlier on. We'll see how this one all works out. Interested to see what Svenskun's next move is, because that top side of the jungle, certainly where he was there, is all warded out, so they know exactly where Svenskun is.
Yeah, there'll be no focus from Sven onto Freddy's lane. It's all about allowing the Caitlyn to push her lane advantage. And that's going to be the focus for SK. Obviously, G Tigers will know it because they can see how the walls are being placed. Loads of defensive pink walls in the river from SK to allow a roam from this mid lane. I want to see if it's going to be Rod of Ages or Righteous Glory though from Smep, because he's going to be like the main engage for GE Tigers, and the Righteous Glory will do him a lot of good things in terms of getting on to the back line of SK. Otherwise, if he goes for the Rod of Ages, it's just more, you know, really tanky, beefy Maokai, and then more kite focus from the GE Tigers.
Yeah, we'll see what they decide to work out. Double Dorans into Righteous Glory is something that we see out of Aluka from World Elite, and we'll see if Smeb continues their train. Bottom lane, Gorilla's not around. Javelin does not connect though. It looks like they're going to dive. They're going in.
They're going to go for it here. Prey having to Valkyrie from that one, and SK deciding not to chase through with Gorilla there. Meanwhile, in the middle lane, Kuro basically just missed his death ray, which stops him pushing, and Fox is going to dive in there under the tower. Kuro's going to flash behind him, and he's going to survive as well. Fox went very low. Very, very close duel in that middle lane.
Yeah, very good duel here, but we see SK Gaming, all the focus is on the bottom lane. We talked about how these pink wards set up a very easy transition down to potentially dive onto Prey and Gorilla. They did it right before here. They forced 2 summoners, got a lot of damage on the tower, and it's very clear to see where SK Gaming is putting all the focus. Freddy, he's just on his own, farming away.
Standard SK as usual, but a confident play from Fox. Up in the top lane, Freddy's getting dived. Smeb and Lee, they want blood. They're going in. Freddy's been chilling Smite. The tower's now turned its attention to Smeb. Freddy, 200 hit points. The tower's going to get down. They're going to trade 1-for-1. Freddy with an outplay.
Best possible trade here for SK Gaming. You're still pushing the bottom lane, and your top lane on his own trades 1-for-1 in a gank from the GE Tigers here. Suddenly SK Gaming not too far behind the GE Tigers.
Close game here. We are going to see Kuro and Fox again having a bit of fun with each other, and Fox showing that he's going to play this one a bit more aggressive than we saw in that last game. And up till now, they've got close to killing each other, to be fair. Both of them still sat at 0-0-0, but big farm lead actually coming in. Ooh, flash from Lee there to get away from the Javelin.
Yeah, a lot of respect for the damage that can come out from that Cougar form execute. Well played. And to Fisher, you were touching on Righteous Glory, has just been completed there for Smeb with his 2 kills. A little bit behind in CS to Freddy. That babysitting from Enrated earlier on helping out, but there is a teleport directly behind SK Gaming. Smeb wants more.
And Rated gonna get exhausted here. We'll throw down Tibbers, but that won't do anything for him. It's actually Prey that manages to get the kill, and Forgiven flashes away from the sapling. Thought that if I get slowed here, I might be dead.
So GE Tigers again expecting SK to push the tower. Nice TP behind, but look at the top lane here. Freddy pushing it in, and suddenly Freddy, also Svensson, sorry, sees an opening to go up there, place at least a few traps nearby. Koro will find him though in this jungle and try and stop him from taking the wolves.
Wow, Sven's going to smite that one away. Sven's actually spent a fair amount of time in the GE Tigers jungle over the last 13 minutes. Not necessarily equating to a large lead, as you can see the CS difference, but with the gank bottom, Freddy's put a lot of damage on this tower, may be able to secure it with one more wave.
Yeah, this TP really backfired for GE Tigers, because all you want to avoid against SK is losing your outer turrets early, because that's where suddenly they get all the map pressure and start pushing down these lanes, and use the minions to at your tier 2 tower to gain more information and basically make up for your lack of wards. I mean, Italy is a champion who will never buy a side stone, so Sven is not going to add too much in terms of vision control. It's going to be about Enrated on his own here, but bot lane tower now going down. Top lane is extremely low as well, meaning SK Gaming can get some good global gold in just a matter of a few hits, honestly.
If you look at that goal, it's actually super close now. We've got just over a minute for the Dragon. Interested to see how that one all pans out. Dragon, certainly in our last game, SK versus the OE Flash Wolves, was hotly contested, sometimes not so hot, I think it's safe to say, from the Flash Wolves, but definitely the GE Tigers, a different beast altogether. There's a red buff for Lee, looking like he's going to recall before he, or not, as the case may be, before this Dragon does come up into play. We see already there's a good few wards around it from the GE Tigers, and SK just trying to get some vision of their own down now.
I'm interested to see if SK are going to try challenge for this one. There's some big item differences. Freddy's got that Sunfire, Trinity Force for Prey, Eye Edge for Forgiven. If SK want to get a tower, there's a relatively easy tower in the top lane to secure, and the fact that SK has a Dragon in their belt already, we'll see what they decide to do.
What SK is going to do here is they're going to let Freddy take the top lane tower and push their wave down to the tier 2 tower of GE Tigers, and then they're going to see how Smeb is moving. If he's staying to defend, then Freddy can move from his lane to the Dragon and take it 5 versus 4 for SK Gaming side. If Smeb, however, moves away from the lane, well, then SK is just going to back away, keep trading for tower damage here. We're going to have to see how Smeb moves around, because there's no teleport on these two top laners, and obviously when you have your Caitlyn Corki matchup and Corki has a Trinity Force, that's where you don't really want to fight, because you're going to be in quite a disadvantage in terms of AD carry damage. So let's see how Freddy plays it. You can see Smeb already moving from the lane towards the Dragon. He's expecting it, he's pinging it. This means Freddy can now push down the wave and actually get quite some damage on this tower, and potentially even teleport in if needed, if SK managed to delay this one. Or they can, of course, just put the Rek'Sai with the global ulti to defend the wave.
Yeah, I was going to say, that one works obviously too. GE Tag's idea is to send Rek'Sai up there who's got his ulti available. Actually, Gorilla getting a little bit caught out here. Nice little catch off the spear from Smeb, but it's now Fox that's in the middle of them. He will be forced to flash away, and Rated will stun up Smeb, but can they actually escape prey? Gonna go aggressive. They managed to pick off Fox. Svenskred tries to get over, but he's followed by Smeb, who will keep chasing on here. Can they get him? They get the slowdown, but they realize that pounce is going to be too strong for him. In the end, 2-0. This is going to be GE Tigers' first Dragon.
Yeah, and obviously Freddy was moving from this top lane. He wasn't there for the fight. It was SK trying to get a quick pick on Gorilla. I would have loved to see the flash tables from him rated, honestly. Just secure that kill before Janet can use her ulti, and then potentially take that Dragon here. But no, Svenskred instead. Prey and Grom.
Svenskred's down, taken out. And in the mid lane, Freddy was looking to trade with Kuro just a little bit. At the end of the day, SK fall 1,000 gold behind, and it's scary because they're 2 towers up. So there is still global gold available for GE Tigers to take back that lead.
Still quite a misplay by SK Gaming. Didn't look like they were on the same page here. One of them wanted to go in and try and get a kill, and Rated kind of stayed back with his flash tippers there, saved it at first, and then suddenly they realized, we're going to see the replay again. They want to go for Gorilla first. Here, Annie needs to flash tippers on. Now, this tippers at least, not sure Flash is ready for and Rated, but tippers in the face, secure that one kill, and then you just back away from here, because you know the GE Tigers are here with all 5. We talked about the Rek'Sai with his ulti, could just come over with her ulti to obviously join the fight as well. So just a bit of a misplay, miscommunication by SK, and great play by GE Tigers to quickly punish it.
And that's a real, just textbook example of the differences between a Korean Corki play and team working around the Trinity Force fight, as well as SK maybe disrespecting it. They got themselves caught in a position where the team fight was going to happen. They should never have been there to challenge. So Fisher, you touched on the fact if Smeb left lane, SK should have backed away, and they did not do that. Ends up being punished for it, and now they're down 5 kills against the tournament favorites.
And the thing is, in my opinion there, if you're going to commit to killing that one guy with 2 guys, you need to fully commit.
Yeah.
And Rated actually backed away and flashed away from the fight when he saw the rest of them were coming, rather than just dumping Tibbers straight in there and locking them up. But, you know, right now, they're probably paying the price for that one. Gold is still very, very even at this point. And Freddy now trying to bully Smeb out of this top lane and doing some good damage on the way through.
Yeah, definitely using that mini Gnar hyper auto attacks. But the one thing is, Freddy's got a 50 CS lead, and if there's anybody that has the ability to carry SK Gaming, get them to that late game stall out, some good teleport Gnar engages could be the way for SK to play this one safe, get Diana and Caitlyn time. Because simply put, their team is going to be relying on him.
Yeah, problem is it's a bit tough always with this Gnar here to time your Mega Gnar with their potential teleport to start a fight. And when there's a Janet to just knock you away when you come in, it will make it tough. I mean, it's going to be so much about it already. He's flash tippers and Forgiven now. He's in trouble.
Well, one more rocket. Prey just made that look easy. Smeb been caught.
Yeah, Smebby's going to go down here. Surely they actually push in. The Monsoon will push Smeb away. And look at the regen in there. He's still alive on this one. Smeb's will eventually fall. They do get Smeb, but can they get any more? Fox going low. And Rated will join back in on the fight. Kuro will be picked up as well. But now Freddy going to try and get away from this one. Can he take Lee with him? He will take Lee. And he could probably have Gorilla as well, who will flash off. And that is a 4 for 3 in the end. Prey even getting that bottom tower.
Yeah, a lot of things going on here. Bottom lane, of course, we talk about how strong this Corki is compared to a Caitlyn in the mid game. We see Prey killing Forgiven first, but the fight itself, SK Gaming commits everything to Smeb. Ignite came in late. We're gonna see it again here, how much HP Smeb actually gets back from his passive, and of course the ulti from Gorilla. Everything's been used on him now. Notice his HP, how close he is to dying. Gorilla's ulti, and of course the passive now from Smeb just to keep him alive. And now we see the healing reduction coming in a bit too late from SK Gaming side. That's why they don't get a quick kill. But then, of course, you mentioned earlier the Fed Gnar. Freddy doing work.
Well, Freddy needs to carry for the team. And just such a good place for a Victor to fight. That Chaos Storm hitting basically every member of SK throughout their entirety. But you do need to give some props to Freddy. 3-1-1, got a large CS advantage. The problem is, the rest of the team seems to be making small misplays. Late ignites, delayed engages.
Dying in the bottom lane.
Shopping while recalling there on that bottom side. On, close to the tri-bush as well, which just should never really happen at this level.
And this is also why Caitlyn normally doesn't really fit too well with SK Gaming style, because Forgiven is not able to make plays on his own when you're playing Caitlyn. You're relying on your team. Yes, you're strong in the laning phase, but as soon as you get out there, you're going to be weak at the most AD carries for a long, long time before you get 3 or 4 items. So he's simply forced to sit with the team, otherwise he dies, like we saw before. And then suddenly you can't do 1-3-1 unless you want to send your mid laner down in one of the side lanes.
No flash, no Gnar available for SK. And they just get bullied away from that middle tower. GE use all the range. They've committed. They've caught Rated.
Yes, Meb's in there and Rated's going down and he doesn't even get Tibbers on the field. That's not a good sign here for SK. Smeb is still chasing him up the front there. They don't quite get the stun. Actually, Forgiven inside of it. He will get the finisher onto Kuro. Is this the turnaround that they're looking for here? Or SK going to push through? Fox tries to get out there, but he will be forced back instantly. And it looks like the GE Tigers here with this 1-for-1 have done enough to get away.
Yeah, Mega Gnar not available for Freddy to wreck that back line. So SK, yes, they got a kill. Props to Fox. Now he's jumping in, looking for Gorilla. Does he want to Luna rush in? He said he's going to get rooted in place. The rest of SK trying to react. Fox has been left alone. Svenskeren may want to pounce in. Looking for Forgiven in the back line.
May want to pounce away. There is Freddy coming in though. He will get himself onto the rampage. Lee's off low at the side. Can they finish off Prey? And Rated coming back around gives a double to Freddy. And 3 men drop just like that for the GE Tigers. And, well, 17 seconds for Dragon as well. Good timing for SK.
And that was the TP from Freddy coming in behind here. A lot of fights around this mid lane. You can see how GE Tigers had the wards placed, so they knew they wanted to fight. But notice here for Freddy's side, he's in the base now, TP in behind. Everyone else is just hitting each other, trying to kite in. Forgiven, still fairly healthy. Prey flashing for this kill. And now Freddy shows up, full HP, double buff, and gonna get that Mega Gnar. Simply cleaning it up. Dragon though, TP now from Smeb.
Smeb and the rest of GE Tigers a little bit split up. Prey has just spawned in base, but that Death Ray just destroys Svenskeren's HP bar. 2,000 hit points on the Dragon. And now that's bought enough time for GE Tigers to regroup. It looks like SK, they want to commit. There goes the Gnar. He knars Smeb against the wall. Gorilla and Kuro left untouched in the back line.
I'm not sure it's going to change anything, but Fox will dive into the middle as well. Can they pick anyone up? I don't think so. Fox will fall. They'd already lost Freddy there. And now Enrated, poor little Annie, is going to be going down as well. That'll be a double for Kuro. And that's 3 kills for the GE Tigers, turning it round just as quick as SK did before.
And Freddy almost felt forced to go in there once he got the Mega Gnar. He only managed to land ulti and Smeb, and then we saw Kuro with some great Victor play. When Gnar jumps in towards you, place your stun right on him because he's not able to jump any further. Stun up the Gnar here, back away and just hit him, and kill him while he's unable to hit the rest of your back line. Beautiful play by GE Tigers. There was no AD carries in that last fight here.
No, SK Gaming, 2 terrible Dragon decisions. costing them control against the GE Tigers. And with 7 kills in the advantage, 4,000 gold and a Baron buff, GE Tigers have read SK, have figured out how to defeat their SK strengths and strategy and pushing the lanes and picks and bans, and GE convincingly in the lead at 24 minutes.
Forgiven.
Get a tower then.
Trying to get in there onto Gorilla. He will get the tower. That'll be the third of the game. SK's still up on that front, and that's what's kept this gold really so close for such a long time. Lee actually is going to catch the back of Enrated, and Svenska, and Tibbers goes down, but Tibbers is not going to do a thing for them. Svenska and falls. There is Kuro's kill onto Enrated, and they lose 2 men again instantly through trying to fight in the enemy jungle for what exactly?
And for no, I mean, just weird because Nar was in the top lane running, we had Diana in the bottom lane as well. I mean, there's 3 guys around this mid lane. And we talked about how GE Tigers are so good at setting up proper wards to really spot what SK is doing and have that quick decision making to punish it. So as soon as they see SK move in with just 2 guys to ward a blue up, of course they're gonna collapse on them and kill them here. SK really is trying to make it a little bit tough for themselves. It's still only Freddy who's really in this game. Forgiven, he needs more time before he can become a real carry.
Well, he may not get that time to Fiscio. 5k, 6k the difference, an easy tower kill in the top. I do want to touch on Gorilla's itemization. He went for early Captain Boots, not the first time we've seen it today, and not the first time we've seen him rush a QSS. He did this as well fairly recently.
Yeah.
And just allowing Gorilla to disengage once Annie flashes in.
That's the thing, he's doing it on Janna because remember, like we had these changes to Janna where now it's only when targets are running towards so you really get that movement speed, the captains enchant as well. So this allows Gorilla, look how far ahead he is of the rest of his team. It allows him to be in the front and give that movement speed buff to your team. And then very quickly, QSS if he gets stunned by, let's say, a Tippers, and pop his ult and then start running back, and then suddenly you can now disengage a lot faster as well. So he's just using this Janna really well, both to be offensive and defensive, and that's why he wants that defensive item to save him in case he gets caught out in the front.
And you know, 15 stacks on his Soul Stealer
that helps as well, Joe.
Helping out overall. So, GE Tigers now moving towards the bottom lane. Can they finish off this tower? Freddy is the sole man to defend for now. Rest of the team coming in just behind him, but honestly, I'm not sure how they're going to be able to hold this. We've got Rek'Sai pushing that top lane out as well. Of course, the Baron buff helping with this push as well.
Yeah, the wave clear is only really on Diana and Forgiven was so late to the party. 75% of the tower's HP has been chipped away, and that's going to give Lee uncontested time in the top lane. One way or the other, GE Tigers are getting set to take another tower down.
And this is why we normally see teams ban Rek'Sai against GE Tigers. They use the split push so well. There's no teleport for either of the top laners at the moment, and that's why they just put Lee to do basic work on his own here. Tower going down in the bottom lane. We normally don't see SK Gaming being behind and being the ones who has to run around and defend their own towers. They're normally the ones making the plays. But as we mentioned on the expert disc beforehand, when SK Gaming is losing, it's when they don't get that lead early on and they won't get to really pressure all the lanes at once.
And in this type of matchup, SK is not traditionally behind. They've only lost 3 games in the European LCS, and now they need to figure out how to bounce back from a deficit against the strongest team from Korea that's undefeated in a series. So
in the world, maybe?
In the world. They're putting up a hell of a case for it, that's for sure.
Well, SK are trying to beat them back from that last remaining inner turret that stands in the middle lane. I feel that's maybe just a matter of time at this point, though, before they're back in position defending that one. Looks like GE Tigers want to just recall, spend some of the gold that they've been collecting, and then come back even stronger from this one. A lot of wards actually picked up on that last trip.
A lot of wards being placed as well from the GE Tigers in the jungle of SK Gaming. Ping wards in there. Now obviously you've reset the whole map because GE Tigers got the towers they wanted. Dragon is spawning in about a minute time, so you're going to reposition all these pings. So you see how 4 new has already been picked up by them, and because they're running double sidestone with the Rek'Sai, and one of the reasons I really feel like Rek'Sai offers so much more to your team than in Italy is you build sidestone. You can build obviously a locket as well. You won't do that on Italy. It's all about the AP damage, and that means for SK Gaming, very delayed locket if they even are going to get one, against a lot of magic damage from the side of GE Tigers. It's really going to hurt them even more in these 5-on-5 fights.
Yeah, Enrated is just so far behind. Working with hit points only. Going to be relying on some of the armor and MR from Molten Shield, but that's it. There's nothing else for him in the map. 0-6-5, simply not been aggressive enough. And this is what we said about Enrated.
It's such a different Enrated when he's not playing on a disengaged support. I'm not sure why he doesn't want to try and pick up the likes of a Morgana. Great against a Maokai here to stop the engage, protect your Caitlyn maybe. he's not decisive enough on Annie to really make it work for him. He's not used to being the main engage on SK Gaming, and we have seen it a few times in this game here where he had openings, but he didn't take them.
It's gonna have to change if SK want anything out of this game. We see the Tigers moving now towards another dragon. Lee actually kept out of that area, so no smite for them, but that's not really gonna matter here. They will be able to pick that one up, and that means the GE Tigers with 1.5 minutes until Baron can stop pushing these lanes out again.
Yeah, just great play from the GE Tigers. Held even, only picked the fights when they were ahead, and a lot of GE Tigers' decision-making has been led from Smeb. His teleport engages, Righteous Glory is the front line for the team, and the team is working around the Maokai so effectively. Look at the damage onto Forgiven, trying to set it up, and Rated flashed for that one, but you do hear Lee jumping in for the fight, so Rated not able to get in, not able to stun the targets, and SK lost one of their primary, arguably their biggest form of engage.
They need it so much because they have to be able to dive the back line of GE Tigers. Main problem obviously is also, one of the problems is this QSS we mentioned earlier for Gorilla. It's gonna make sure he can pop it and then use Monsoon after to disengage. Now Freddy, he's in trouble.
Oh, is he gonna change over in time? Does manage to get back there onto the steps of the base, but there we see Smeb diving right into the back. They kill off 1, 2, and 3 will surely be falling here. Fox is extremely low. Freddy is gonna be falling soon as well. Fox will, not quite get finished off. Lasagna's just blocking out that last one, but Kuro is there at the back just to mop things up, and that is 3 men down for SK Gaming. They're going to lose an inhib here.
GE Tigers make that team fight look easy, demolishing SK's base. They're on the bottom lane inhibitor. Freddy taking so much damage from that engage from Smeb. No front line for SK, and the strongest, most fed member from the team unable to make an impact. GE Tigers are onto the second inhibitor.
Yeah, they could possibly finish things off here, although Svenskern's going to be coming back up in a second. They'll catch out Forgiven. Smeb diving in for that one again. Freddy here will again be transforming, but will that get him away from things? Actually looks like it will have now that Enrated comes out.
But the damage is done.
This Marco pick was just so perfect for them. Knowing that, okay, there's a high chance Enrated's going to go for Annie, so they saw that being locked in. There's no peel from SK Gaming side, or at least they expected there not to be any peel. And then against the Caitlyn, you won't be able to net away as soon as the Maokai clicks on you with the W. He's going to follow you, like we just saw here. So it just allows Smeb to always look for Forgiven, single him out, and then suddenly he's nullified in these fights here. And SK Gaming simply doesn't have the tools whenever there's no flash on the Annie to try and get onto Prey or Koro on this Victor here. Now teleport coming in.
Oh, SK is in so much trouble. They're a little bit surrounded. Smeb's actually gone too early on this one. I take that back. 1v4. Smeb is going to get shut down. We did hear the Void Rush from Lee, but it doesn't look like SK can find him out. It is a solitary win, because it has not and will not equate into a whole lot here for SK Gaming, because they have waves of super minions to deal with. And GE Tigers, one small mistake, we'll let it slide, because Smeb has done such a phenomenal job up until this point, finding the targets and finding the engages that have prevented SK any chance.
He was just testing how tanky the really was. Can I 1v4?
Oh, Prey going deep on this one here, but they might be able to come up with the results. There is Enrated throwing down Tibbers off the side, and they've finished off Prey there. Can they get any more from this one? Kuro will say no, and SK Gaming get that one single kill, and we'll back off.
Dare I say a tad overconfident in that setup.
Yeah.
GE Tigers losing a little bit of focus when you're this far ahead. Again, these are small victories for SK, but it hasn't equated into objectives. It hasn't bought a whole lot other than time, but I'm still not hopeful.
Basically what it buys for SK is your inhibitors are going to respawn and you didn't lose a Baron while they were down, which we normally would see. You have 2 waves of super minions coming into your base, you have no teleport ready. I mean, you would have to give up that Baron, but because they got these picks, they have delayed it. Inhibitors should respawn fairly soon for SK, and we might see like an all-in-all or an all-in 5-on-5 team fight, or a Svenskern being caught out and one-shotted.
Yeah.
How do you play by play that?
9-2-4 Victor is going to do that to you.
That's the reason people like Victor. He has a lot of damage.
Well, it's got a lot of utility as well. Freddy get caught in that gravity field and pulled backwards. GE Tigers, knowing Smite's not available and having their entire team spawned and having super minions in SK's base, means this should be uncontested. SK completely peeled away. Baron number 2 going to the GE Tigers at 34 minutes. And they should be knocking on the top lane door. There's the pings GE set their sights on the last remaining inhib.
And why not? Far and away ahead in this, 22-10 in kills, 8-3 in turrets, the Barons all in, and the Dragons even in their favor. And it's just a case now of pushing onto this top side of the map. We'll see if SK can do anything about this one. There is Lee coming flying across the map. And there will be 5 of those Korean players trying to take down this last inhibitor turret. And SK, they might as well go for some kind of play here. Enrated's flash will be coming up soon. He's got to come up big.
Yeah, look how early that Hourglass is from Fox, though. He's been forced down, tries to re-engage as Prey takes him out. Svenskeren has been zoned, has been dropped. Forgiven's being focused by Prey and Gorilla. The Foss Bomb gives Prey a double kill in the fight. The Mega Rocket does secure the third, and now Freddy's pulling some attention from GE, but it's too little, it's too late, Joe.
No, it's just about padding the kills there in the end, and we see the GE Tigers getting themselves an ace for nothing, it should be mentioned there as well. They're going to simply push through for this one, and the GE Tigers will be the first team to book their place in the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship semi-finals.
All in all, just a fantastic pick and ban phase, and very well executed early game from the GE Tigers here. Yes, okay, a few misplays where they went maybe a little bit over-aggressive, but they knew what SK Gaming were doing, and they knew how to counter it.
Yeah, and I think a little bit of praise to SK for their first 10 to 15 minutes. They snuck a dragon early. They didn't have the strongest tower pushing comps, but Freddy put up a great performance. Forgiven, despite dying, still farmed well. But a weakness of SK's composition was exploited, and that is exactly what GE Tigers do exceptionally well.
I just love how GE Tigers in the lane swap froze the lane against Freddy, forcing Enrated to come up there and help him farm, and suddenly Forgiven is unable to fast push a tower in the bottom lane. That brought so much time for GE Tigers and gave so much farm to the Maokai as well, who just stood there and said, okay, I'm going to take everything, I'm going to get level 6, even with the AD carry as well. And that's really what they used in the start to make sure they didn't lose all the towers and fall really far behind and let SK Gaming play their style.
Not even just unable to fast push, but getting first blooded all on his own down there in the bottom. Either way, it's a solid win again for the GE Tigers. We're going to head over to Shox and the guys to break it down.